The water meta node is currently being controlled with the overall agitation slider. You can adjust this option from calm to storm and control the wind direction. These settings are directly tied to all of the inactive settings currently within the window and allow for quick editing of water surfaces. To edit these options manually, turn off Use Global Wave Control, and the remaining controls become active. The height option is available only when using a displaced water object and controls the height of the waves. Most of these controls are direct connections to the embedded open ocean fractal, and work the same way as in View 6, controlling the complexity and details of the water. When the water's surface is displaced, these sliders control the meta water node that can be found by selecting Edit Function in the water surface options. When you are not using a displaced surface, the meta water node is located in the water material function in the bottom material layer. With both types of water, the function for the foam material layer will contain the foam meta node controls and the links to these sliders, and is not removed by changing the water type. The bottom two groups of sliders, foam along coasts and foam along waves, adjust the material link to the water's surface. The water object will automatically create white caps on rough oceans and shore waves around intersecting objects. The next example scene contains a water object with islands generated by procedural terrain. Using the sliders in the foam along coast group, we can control the foam amount surrounding any object in the water. The typical depth amount is a range control. The water meta node contains the distance below object input node. If I set this value to 30 meters, the coastal foam will start to appear when intersecting objects are 30 meters below the surface of the water. The foam will then increase in density until it reaches the intersection point where both the object and water meet. The foam over waves amount slider will increase the full range of the foam material on the entire water surface. The coverage will adjust the blending of the foam material into the water material, 100% being the smoothest. In other words, with a coverage value of 0%, the foam will have a very sharp edge, and increasing the slider will dissipate the foam. When tweaking material options with a displaced water surface, I highly suggest you keep the camera in the same location and not modify the position or rotation options. The reason for this is because after the first displaced water render is done calculating the geometry of the water, this calculation does not need to be performed until the camera is moved or the geometry is modified. This drastically cuts down on render times, allowing quick renders for material adjustments. Also keep in mind that changing to a different frame in the timeline will require the geometry of the water to be recalculated.